A very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, a weekly news magazine program with me, Sharab Dorji. Our top stories this week: Druk Nyamrup Tsokpa files a case against the government. Decline in the number of graduates qualifying for the civil service examination this year. And commuters call for a proper system to monitor extra luggage charges in public transport buses. Druk Nyamrup Tsokpa filed a case in the High Court against the government for alleged unconstitutional implementation of tax alteration. The party said the government violated the constitution by imposing fiscal incentives policy even before it was passed by the parliament.
The Druk Nyamrup Tsokpa's president, Dr. Tandi Doji, along with lawyers and party officials, came with 12-page application and submitted to the High Court this morning. A miscellaneous hearing was held on the case, which lasted for more than an hour. The party alleged that the fiscal incentives policy was implemented by the government in January last year, even before it was passed by the parliament. The parliament endorsed the bill only in June this year.
We are submitting the case to the court because of two reasons. Number one, the present government has violated the constitution. How have they violated? They have touched upon the tax, altered the tax, and given tax holidays to some institutions and some business bodies. This is not fair. This is not as per the Constitution, not as per the Public Finance Act of 2012. Therefore, any individual must abide by the law. So that is one reason why we are here. Second reason is Constitution is a mother law, and Constitution is the pillar for Bhutan's success, for Bhutan's new democracy. That is the pillar. Now, when every new government that changes after every 5 years touches and infringes and breaches this constitution, then where are we heading for?
The judges will now discuss and determine whether to accept the case or not. For Changa Doji, Sunampem for BBS News.
Local leaders in Lindsay want to know the reason for delay in the construction of 56-kilometer Shinkha-Gorga highway. They said it has affected arable lands and Gyeok Center roads in 2 Gyeoks. The issue was raised in the Zongkak Sokdu meeting.
Metsogap said about 8 kilometers of its Gyeok Center road could not be blacktopped since it lies on the Shinkha-Gorgon highway.
Many arable lands belonging to the farmers in Metso got damaged since the route has to pass through our Gyeok. And other problem is that we didn't get the blacktopping from Gorgon to Singmala, which falls on the Metso Gyeok Center road. If blacktopped, this route will also benefit the people of Jari. When roads are being blacktopped in all the Gyeoks, Metso is lagging behind. Therefore, it is high time for the government and the concerned ministry to confirm whether the road will be constructed or not.
From what I heard, the Shinkha-Gorgon road construction is withheld since it has so many negative implications on the environment. But I feel it's important for the government to weigh benefits to the environment and the people.
There was as such no concrete answer in the meeting.
The delay in the road construction from Shinkha to Gorgon is because National Environment Commission and Frumsingla National Park have not yet issued us the environment clearance. However, during the visit of Works and Human Settlement Minister, she said the government allocated 1.5 million neutrum for road construction this year.
After a long deliberation, the meeting decided to submit the resolutions to the government.
We are going to submit the resolution of Zongkak Sokdu on the Shinkha-Gorgon highway construction and blacktopping of Gyeok Center road from the Singmala to Gorgon to the government. So we would like to request government to complete its work before it completes its tenure.
In June this year, the Works and Human Settlement Minister said it is uncertain when the construction of the Shinka-Gorgon highway would begin. The government is yet to receive Environment Clearance Certificate from the National Environmental Commission. For Sonam Sring in Lindsay, Kilidem, PBS News.
The progression of life expectancy in Bhutan is laudable. From 32% in 1960, today it has achieved close to 70% according to the health survey in the country. But this could also mean in coming years the government will have to spend more on healthcare.
In just 5 decades, Bhutan has tremendously improved the rate of life expectancy at birth. It stood at 69.83% as of 2015. The Health Ministry said the drastic improvement indicates an overall health of the country, which is commendable.
It means the improvement in public health services to the population of Bhutan. So people are more healthier. In 1960s, life expectancy for a Bhutanese at birth was 44.6 or something, and now drastic improvement. So overall improvement in the health of Bhutanese population also indicates that Health Ministry is performing its work properly.
However, the downside of this improvement in the expectancy rate is the health financing and cost. As people live longer, in this case beyond 70, the health care cost is projected to grow. But this becomes challenging because the government spends less on health care.
So the health care cost in the coming years can go up drastically. And to treat those non-communicable diseases, the cost to the government is enormous. So one is healthcare cost can go up drastically, and the present GDP expenditure on health will not be sufficient.
Globally, countries spend more than 8% of their total GDP on health. In Bhutan, between 10th and 11th Five-Year Plan, a little over 3% of total GDP was spent on health, which is by far too less. Today, the life expectancy for Bhutanese women is estimated at 70.11 years, while for men it is 69.57 years. Sonam Phunso for PBS News.
Cancer patients will no longer have to travel abroad for radiation therapy. The National Referral Hospital will introduce the service most probably by the end of this year. Radiation therapy uses high-energy radiation to shrink tumors and kill cancer cells.
Every year, the National Referral Hospital sends almost 400 cancer patients to India for radiation therapy.
Main aims to start this therapy. First is to reduce referral. Second is to provide relief to the difficulties that our people face when they are referred outside. For example, some villager from some rural, remote area suddenly land up in Calcutta in a hot place, crowded place. They literally get lost. And then when we visit their facilities and the accommodations, it is very pathetic. So it is not only the patient who is suffering because of the disease, but also the escorts who will have to go through so much.
The machine is imported from Germany.
We are spending quite a lot of money on this service. We have to pay a monthly rental of 1 million for the lining machine alone. And we are required to pay almost like 5 lakhs Multrum for the services of a nuclear physicist and a clinical oncologist. And then as and when we need, we will also get the services of a surgical oncologist for very complicated cancer surgeries. So for that, we are required to pay around 1,25,000 per week for the service of the surgeon. Because we have to incur so much cost, we don't expect really saving in terms of cost. Cost will be almost like almost same, like referring patients to other hospitals.
And in the next 10 years, The hospital is expected to provide this service independently without experts from outside. The hospital took about 2 years to study, negotiate and get the approval to introduce the service in the country. Choni Dhamma for PBS News.
From about 3,400 graduates who appeared for the preliminary examination, only some 900 got through the exam this year. It is way less than last year when 2,600 graduates passed the preliminary examination. The cut-off percentage this year is 50.
The pass percentage this year decreased by 47% compared to last year. Only 927 graduates got through for the main examination this year, which will be held in October. The graduates will compete for the 494 job vacancies in the civil service. 33 MBBS graduates have been exempted from the preliminary examination. The preliminary examination is conducted to test the minimum standard required for a candidate to sit for the main examination. The Royal Civil Service Commission for the first time will conduct drug tests before commissioning the qualified graduates into the civil service. If tested positive, the graduates will be rejected, but they will be given a chance to once again sit for the preliminary examination. For Pema Chawang, Pasa, PBS News.
Without freedom, creativity cannot flourish. Freedom is key to any progress, instilling a sense of responsibility. And this is exactly what autonomy has given to schools. Today, after over 3 years of ministry's decision to grant autonomy to government schools, autonomous schools are doing far better than non-autonomous schools according to the Ministry of Education.
A classroom filled with all the required learning materials for students is what sets this school different from other schools. This has all been possible after the school was granted autonomy back in 2014. Fly away, little butterfly. Autonomy has given that liberty and empowerment to the school to exercise its own innovation and achieve its targets. The school is now one of the top 10 schools in the country.
With this creativity and innovative ideas, not only principal, but I feel that all the teachers, they knew that the ownership is coming to them. The ownership is shifted to the classroom. And each of them have their own responsibilities to shoulder. So every teacher, when they thought about introducing the creativity programs, innovative programs, they started working harder.
The Education Ministry's independent review on autonomous schools revealed positive impact and improvements in all areas of school programs. The ministry had granted autonomy to schools to set their own strategic directions, determine priorities and exercise control over the resources allocated to them.
Firstly, we looked at how our schools are performing in terms of curricular and co-curricular practices. We also looked at how our schools are doing in terms of managing resources, like human resources, as well as financial resources. We also looked at how our schools are able to manage, manage the infrastructure, how our schools are able to, develop pastoral care, which is one of the most important aspects of central schools. And also, of course, how have they improved in terms of service delivery, in terms of leadership and management practices. We found out that generally, these autonomous schools and central schools are doing much better than many other schools.
The ministry also plans to make all government schools autonomous by the end of 12th Five-Year Plan. Today, there are 82 autonomous schools in the country. Sunampem for PBS News.
About 30 households of Kenchuli in Khamdang Geok in Tashiansi claim of their houses getting damaged by the blasting work at the Kolongchu project site. Cracks have developed both inside and outside the houses.
Gemdoji shows how the blasting work has damaged his houses. The 51-year-old owns 3 small houses. He is worried as the walls of his houses have started to develop numerous cracks even before he is able to pay off his housing loan.
The blasting work started as soon as the Kolongchu project commenced. I think the blasters lack experience or are not certified. Had they been, then they would do cautiously. We understand the hydro project will benefit the country. Also, if the damages were minor, we would not have said anything.
Other affected households have similar claims. In some cases, walls have collapsed as well. They said blasting work at the site where construction of an access road is going on is carried out about 3 to 4 times a day.
Cracks have developed on both the floors of my house. Being a woman, I do not know what to do when such things happen. Earlier, there were no cracks. It started with the coming of the project. They carried out blasting work near the waterfall area on the other side. The blasting is quite powerful and I think the people involved lack experience. It vibrates a lot.
When they carry out the blasting, it is as if the house will come down. The vibration broke glasses of 2 windows. In an instance last year, I was sleeping here and the wall collapsed suddenly. I have kept 2 locks to support the house.
People have also written to the Geok administration regarding the issue. The Joint Managing Director of Kolongchu Hydro Energy Limited, Kencho Doji, said the affected households are located opposite the current blasting sites. The cracks, he said, could have developed from the vibrations. The office will form a team including officials from the Dzongkhag and Geok administrations and visit the affected households for investigation. Meanwhile, he added, as stated in the contract agreement, the contractors are also asked not to use excessive gelatin and explosive material to detonate boulders. For Siringzamin Tashiangsi, Sonomongdi, PBS News.
Government pool vehicle drivers will now have to use a cart while refueling their vehicles. The Finance Ministry, in collaboration with the Bank of Bhutan, launched the fuel cart in the capital recently.
Of Finance Ministry to inaugurate the swiping of the fuel card.
The introduction of fuel card for government pool vehicles is among the many initiatives of the Finance Ministry to digitalize the payment facility and move towards a cashless economy.
The initiative will promote transparency while refueling. Also, for any business, carrying cash is risky. There are chances of losing it. It will also help in proper maintenance of books of account.
The fuel card facility will also help better manage the government's cash flow. Today, of about 300 million newtons spent annually on maintenance of government pool vehicles, 70% is used for petroleum oil lubricants.
From there, most of the money is paid in advance to the fuel station. Now with this introduction of fuel card, government will save in terms of cash management because payment will be made only when fuel is being used.
To start with, 31 fuel cards were distributed to various government agencies based in Thimphu. The Finance Ministry will implement the use of such a card across the country as well. Pema Saldensri for BBS News.
Many people traveling by passenger buses still complain about the extra amount charged for luggage. People say this has been an issue for many years because there is no proper monitoring system.
As per the Road Safety and Transport Authority officials, each passenger can carry 20 kilograms of luggage free of charge. However, many passengers are unaware of the system and land up paying unreasonable amount for their luggage.
I came from Chuka. I have around 2 cartoons with me and for which the conductor charged extra fares. I don't understand why. The cost of the ticket is actually 130 Newton, and since the conductor is my friend, he charged me only 70 Newton for the cartoons. Had it been someone else in my place, he would have charged more.
For a small cartoon I am carrying, they charged me 100 Newton. I tried bargaining to 50 Newton, but they refused. It would weigh only around 12 kilograms. I have heard we can carry certain kilograms of luggage with us without having to pay extra, but the conductor said I have to pay 100 Newton.
The RSTA officials say weighing machines were once distributed to almost every base office in 2008, but it has been difficult to weigh the luggage of all the passengers. They do so only when disputes arise between the passengers and conductors.
Actually, we have a system of pre-departure inspection carried out at all the departing terminals, and we have our MBIs, base in charge, and MBI who conduct pre-departure inspection for all the buses before they depart from the terminal. And whatever complaints that people have, they should be raising to the in charge.
He also said if conductors and drivers are found charging extra fare contrary to the rules and regulations, the authority makes them reimburse the money. If they repeat, warnings are issued, followed by penalties. Kilidem, BBS News.
Bhutan produces over a truckload of e-waste every year, and old printer cartridges are one of the popular waste. Today, many throw away the printer cartridges in the dumping yard after it has been used. However, for Leki Dawa, used printer cartridges are not waste.
Leki Dawa has a diploma in engineering from India. He is the brain behind the Bhutan Alternatives formed in 2015. Today, he actively collects used printer cartridges from various government organizations, corporations and private agencies to refurbish it.
For us, it's not a waste actually. This is a resource for us where we can convert waste into the money. So, and yes, the past year we used to go around the country, and then so we most of the that printer cartridge we found in the dumping yard, and as everybody knows that this is the electronic waste is very harmful to the environment. As it's not like a general waste. Compared to general waste, is a very dangerous impact on the environment.
Yes, sir. So far, the group has remanufactured and sold around 9,500 printer cartridges to almost 19 districts. Koke Enterprise, one of the cartridge distributors, now prefers Bhutan Alternatives printer cartridges over HP printers.
Earlier, I used to bring in HP printers and supply HP cartridges only. However, after Bhutan Alternatives was formed in 2015, cartridges were remanufactured in the country. After comparing the price of it, now I have stopped supplying HP cartridges.
Leki Dawa, who has also been selected as the best entrepreneur by the Loden Foundation, aspires to start Green Technology Center in the future.
We will recondition the e-waste item. Like for example, we can recondition the laptop, computers, and household item, fridge, then washing machine. In Green Technology Center, we will recondition and then we will again sell to the market. So, which means this also contribute towards the economy, and this also contribute towards the environment, and also to create the more job opportunity to the youth.
The company is also certified by the International Standard Organization. With just 18 employees, it has collected more than 13,000 printer cartridges from across the country so far. Bhutan Alternatives was initially supported by the Lothen Foundation and Druk Holding and Investments. Pasang Doji, PBS News.
Well, that's all for this time. Thank you for joining us. This is Sharab Dorji saying goodbye.